This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good Rabbi Shabbos Rabbi. We have something quite original this afternoon regarding the Kriyas Yamsuf and the Shira, Az Yashir, and this is something that hit me from the davening, and something really very interesting. And that is, we know Klal Yisrael is given many names. Klal Yisrael has many titles. But I noticed that when it comes to Kriyas Yamsuf, they are given a very unique title. In the davening in Ezras Avosenu we say, Kol b'chareim haragta. Hashem, you killed all their firstborn. V'b'charcha ga'alta. You redeemed your firstborn. V'yamsuf bakata. You split the yam. V'zeidim tibata. And the wanton ones you drowned. V'didim havarta. And you crossed the Yedidim. Why are Klal Yisrael referred to as Yedidim? Unusual. We don't find anywhere in the whole Tanakh that Klal Yisrael are referred to as Yedidim. Shouldn't say the whole Tanakh, in the whole Chumash. Nowhere in Chumash, by Shalshudis, when you eat chickpeas, we say Yedid Nefesh. But that's talking about Hashem. But the Hashem is called Yedid Nefesh. But that Klal Yisrael, what, Yedid Nefesh? Rabbi Elazar Askiri. Anshe Knesset Agdola. Ezra Beis Dinai, the Rambam says, wrote the Tfilos. But what Klal Yisrael called Yedidim. So you say, it's only one time. What are you making such a big deal about that? But look, Vayichasamayim Tzoreim. Echad Mehem Lo Noisar. Al Zois, for this Shibchu Ahuvim. Raimu Kel. V'nasnu Yedidim Smirois Shirois V'sishmachis. And I was wondering why the only time in the entire Siddur that Klal Yisrael are called Yedidim, nowhere else, you could look through the whole Siddur, nowhere else are Klal Yisrael called Yedidim. Why only by Kriyas Yamsuf? Okay, we find in the Shira that Klal Yisrael says the following: Micha mahicha b'elam Hashem, Micha mahicha nedar v'akodesh, Rasilois oisei fela. They say Noira Sihilois, awesome of praise, oisei fela, the one who acts wondrously. What exactly was the big Pella? What does Pella mean? We find the Rambam in the Yad HaChazaka, in the chapter, in the 6th book, the laws that talk about Nedarim, Nedavais, Hektish, Kodshim, all laws that are dependent, Naziros, all laws that are dependent on Dibur, are called Sefer Hafla. Right? And this comes from the pasuk in Nasai, Dabra Bnei Yisrael v'yamar ta'aleim, Ish Aisha kiyafli lindar neder nazir lahazir lashem. A man or a woman, kiyafli. Why, when it comes to speech, is the way to we express speech pella? Why is that a bigger pella than anything else? Somehow, when it comes to speech, the correct way to define it is yafli, hafla. Okay. Hold on to your socks. Fasten your seatbelts. Now, this first part is something we once mentioned before, and that is if you look in the bracha of Asher Yatzar Sa'adam B'chachma, the Matei Moshe brings down a segula, the Sefer Seder Hayom of Rav Moshe ben Macher brings down. Someone is zahir to say Asher Yatzar B'kavana, keeps you away from doctors. Okay, that's a very good thing. So, Asher Yatzar, someone who says the bracha b'kavana, it says Asher Yatzar Sa'adam B'chachma, Hashem created man with wisdom, Uvaravai nekavim chalalim chalalim. This bracha talks about the physical creation of man, as well as his nefesh hativis, his physical life force. That's the bracha of Asher Yatzar. Asher Yatzar talks about the nefesh hativis. And then the bracha later, the bracha after it, is the bracha of Elokai Neshama. Elokai Neshama, of course, talks about the neshama, the soul. Ata Virasa, Ata Yitzarta, Ata Nefachta Bi. And if you notice, Elokai Neshama, Asher Yatzar begins with a baruch, ends with a baruch. Elokai Neshama ends with a baruch, but does not begin with baruch. Why not? So, Maran Bet Yosef, Shulchan Aruch says, the reason why Asher Yatzar starts with a baruch, why not? But Elokai Neshama does not, because it's a bracha haida, and birchas haida do not begin with baruch like birchas hageshamim. However, says the Mishnah Berurah, according to that, you could say Asher Yatzar, and then say Elokai Neshama whenever you want. Elokai Neshama has nothing to do with Asher Yatzar. However, the Mishnah Berurah says that it is better to be masmich and to juxtapose Elokai Neshama to Asher Yatzar, because the Gra feels that Elokai Neshama is a bracha hasmucha lechaverta, and the reason why Elokai Neshama does not begin with Baruch is because it relies on the Baruch of Asher Yatzar. So somehow we have an idea that Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama are brachos that connect to each other. Now, between me and you, I cannot think of a worse possibility of connecting two brachos. Yeah. You want to connect, Asher Yatzar talks about the physicality of man. Elokai Neshama talks about the soul of man. Why would you be masmich the two brachos that are as antithetical as possible?
You can't have the physicality without the neshama.
Okay, but these are two things that are complete opposites. The one time that we're masmich a bracha to another is what? Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama.
That's the Yid's neshama. If you didn't have the
I understand.
Neshama, you couldn't say Asher Yatzar.
Okay, very good.
I can't say it. So you want to give a Karsa Tov to Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Yeah, but why would you be masmich two inyanim that are unconnected? That the body, the neshama goes up, the body goes down. Well, if you look carefully,
the same thing.
there is two words really that serve as a bridge and as a connector between these two brachos, and that is umafli la'asos. What's umafli la'asos? What's the pella? What's the pella of the Asher Yatzar? The Ramah writes, the pella is the following. Look at number 9. Hagav v'od yesh lefarish shemafli la'asos. Hashem acts wondrously. B'ma sheshomer ruach ha'adam b'kerbay, by preserving man's spirit in him. V'koisher davar ruchni b'davar gashmi, and he's able to tie the spirit to the body, which is an impossibility. How could God tie a soul to a body? A soul is spiritual. It doesn't like this world. Ba'al korchach atanoitzar. The Neshama doesn't want to go down to this world. And the Yibam Shem could take a davar ruchni, which is not attachable to a davar gashmi, and he could be mafli la'asois to attach the spirit to the body. That's the pella. The pella is to be able to be koisher a davar ruchni to a davar gashmi. That's the bridge between Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama. Asher Yatzar is the body. Elokai Neshama is the guf. So how could you put the two brachas together? With two words. Umafli la'asos. The two words umafli la'asos, God acts wondrously by tying guf to Neshama, body to spirit. That ties together the Neshama to the guf, and that ties together the bracha of Asher Yatzar to the bracha of Elokai Neshama. Got it?
What's the last one?
Where?
Kolhu.
And that's through, how does God tie it together? By keeping the body healthy, and this way the neshama is able to stay into it. But the pella is to be koisher davar gashmi to davar ruchni, and that's the kesher between the Asher Yatzar and the Elokai Neshama. Now, says Rav Hutner brings out in the Pachad Yitzchak on Pesach, Maimer Tezvav. Why then, according to this idea of the Ramah, that the greatest pella in the world is when God is able to tie together Ruchnius with Gashmius, why does the Rambam refer to the laws of speech as Sefer Hafla? Why in Nasai, when it talks about speech, is Ish Kiyafli Lindar Neder? Why is speech called pella?
It differentiates animals from humans. You didn't have speech.
Because speech is also spiritual. It's also spiritual. Also a body from physical.
So, good. So the Pasuk says, Vayipach bi'apav nishmas chayim. God blew the neshama to the nashal. Vayehi ha'adam lenefesh chaya. And man became a living spirit. So think about Adam Arishon before he had the neshama. All he was what? A guf. He was Asher Yatzar. Then God was Atonefachtavi. God blew the neshama in him. Says the Unclus, what happened to Adam when God blew the neshama into his guf? That fusion of body and soul, where is it apparent? Where is the fusion of body and soul apparent? Vayihi ha'adam l'ruach l'nefesh chaya. What does Onkelos say? The famous words of Onkelos. Vayihi ha'adam l'ruach memalala. He could speak. In other words, if we could look at the glue that fuses together the body and the soul, what is its point of fusion, right? If you were a chemist or a physicist, and you were able to identify the point of fusion of body and soul, where would it be? The koyach hadibur, the ability to speech, because it requires the thought of the neshama and the physical capability of the body, and that is the fusion of body and soul.
That is important speech.
And that is why speech is called Pele. Why is speech a Pele? The same way the Pele of God is that He could tie together body and soul. Ru'maflila, so He's tied together the neshama with the guf. Where is it apparent that the neshama and the guf are fused? The capacity, the faculty of speech. That's why Vayipach bi'apav nishmas chayim vayihi adam lenefesh chaya, says Onkelos l'ruach memalala. Speech is the fusion of body and soul. That's why the Maral points out Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to speak clearly, because Moshe Rabbeinu, his neshama was so lemala that it was not fused with his guf. It's the neshama is so holy and cannot connect to davar gashmi. That's why the faculty of speech is affected. That's what the Maral says. That Moshe Rabbeinu was an aral sfasayim. But the Medrash says that once the Torah was given, Moshe was able to speak clearly. Why is that? Because until the Torah was given, never do we see Vayered Hashem al Har Sinai. Never did God come down to this world. Never did man go up to Shamayim. Never did Vaya Moshe el Hashem. But Har Sinai, Kabbalas HaTorah, was the fusion of Shamayim va'aretz, and that allowed Moshe's neshama to fuse with his guf, and he was able to speak clearly. That's what the Pachad Yitzchak Rav Hutner maintains based on the Maral. So again, the same way the greatest Pele is the fusion of body and soul, and that is apparent in what? The faculty of speech. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to speak clearly. His neshama was so elevated, it did not fuse with his body. But after the Torah was given, where heaven came down to earth, Vayered Hashem al Har Sinai, and earth went up to Shamayim, Vayal Moshe el Holikim. So now you have this fusion of body and soul, of Shamayim va'aretz. Moshe Rabbeinu's speech was cured, so to speak. This is the idea of Rav Hutner. Says Rav Hutner, now you see the beauty of the fusion of Asher Yatzer and Elokai Neshama with which words? Umafli lasos. Yeah? So that is something that we once learned before in the Shiur 2 years ago, Parshas Tazria. Here's the new stuff.
Why do we end the bracha with Asher Yatzer with Rofei Kol Basar? Why don't we say bracha to Hashem Hamafli lasos?
So that's what.
What has the Rofei Kol Basar got to do with the Mafli lasos?
Because if the basar is not working properly and the body is not functioning, then the neshama can't stay.
Be all encompassing.
You have to recognize the fact that now that you're able to take care of your needs and the body is able to function properly, through that medium, God is Rofei Kol Basar. Okay? Listen carefully. Let's talk a little bit about what happened when Klal Yisrael crossed the Yam Suf. Says Rav Hutner, you ready for this? In this world, the natural physical process is what we call Rasha v'Toivloi. The wicked prosper, the wicked rob, the wicked steal, they make money, they enjoy themselves, they have pleasure. Rasha v'Toivloi, the natural process of this world is the wicked have it good. They abuse, they corrupt, they get what they want. That's the process of what? Aretz. What's the process of Shamayim? Rasha v'Raloi. When the Rasha goes up to Shamayim, he gets it in Gehenna. He gets punished for all of his activities.
How do we say that? Not Tzaddik Torah?
Same thing in reverse, okay? But if you could see in this world, where Gehenna comes down to this world, and the wicked get punished in this world, you know what you just saw? Noira sehilois oise pele. You just saw a great wonder. You just saw the hanhaga of Shamayim come down to Aretz. You saw the fusion of heaven and earth, where normally the earthly Hanhaga is wicked have what they want, and they have to wait till the next world to get their recompense. But if you could see the wicked suffer in this world, Be'ibud Rishayim, you just saw Michamaycha Ba'elim Hashem, Mikamaycha Neder Ba'kodesh Neres Sehilos Oisei Pele. The same way speech is a Pele of the physical and the spiritual connected, and the same way your neshama and your guf is a Pele. If you could see the Hanhaga of Shamayim down here Ba'aretz, you've seen a Pele. And therefore, listen carefully, if you see the wicked get punished in this world, there's only one response. Shira. Bepeh. If you see a Pele, you can only express it Bepele. That's why you need Shira. Be'ibud Rishon Marina. When Klal Yisrael saw the Gehenim come down to this world for the Egyptians, the only way to express it is Shira Siyamsov. That's a Pele. They saw the fusion of heaven and earth. They saw Umafli Lasos. And if you see a Pele, then you need to express it b'dibor. That's what Pachad Yitzchak.
Marcus Bechoros wasn't the Rishon getting the recompense.
But where did they see the culmination of the punishment that they saw Alayam? Okay. So, now let's talk a little bit about the Beis Hamikdash, because we know the Klal Yisrael is very focused on the Beis Hamikdash in the Shira. In fact, they say, "Tiviyemai v'siteimai behar nachlascha machan l'shadad Hashem mikdash Hashem kainenu yadecha." Hashem, you're going to build the Beis Hamikdash yadecha with your hands. Well, if you look in the number 11, the Gemara in Menachai says on Daf Nun Gimel Amud Aleph to Nun Gimel Amud Beis, Yavai Yedid Ben Yedid. Let the Yedid come, the son of the Yedid, V'yivne Yedid, and build the Yedid. Li Yedid, for the Yedid. B'chelkoi shel Yedid. Right? We know this is a famous Gemara, and Shweki has a song, Yavai Yedid, Yedid, Ben Yedid, na na. Right? You know that song? Okay, this way you remember the Gemara Menachai. Yavai Yedid, Ben Yedid, V'yivne Yedid, Li Yedid, B'chelk, 5 Yedidim. 6 Yedid, Yiskapru ba Yedidim. Okay? Who's the Yedid? Shlomo. It says about Yedid, he's Yedidya. He's Ben Yedid, Avraham. Avraham is called Yedid, Ma'al Yedidi Bebesi. V'yivne Yedid is the Beis Hamikdash. It says, Ma Yedidus Mishkanoi Secha. For the Yedid is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ashir Nal Yedidi. B'chelko shel Yedid Binyamin. LeBinyamin Amar Yedid Hashem Yishkoin Levetach. V'yiskapru ba Yedidim is Klal Yisrael. What do you see from this Gemara? That when you talk about the Beis Hamikdash, all of a sudden everyone is Yedid or Yedidim. For instance, look at number 12. Avram Avinu in the entire Chumash is not called Yedid. But in the Gemara Menachos, by the Chorim Beis Hamikdash, it says, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, B'shah Shachara Beis Hamikdash, Matzai HaKadosh Baruch Hu LaAvraham, Shahaya Oimei B'Beis Hamikdash, Amar Loi, Mali Yedidi B'Beisi. All of a sudden, here's a man, he's called Avram Oyavi, he's called Avdi, and all of a sudden he's in the Beis Hamikdash, he's called Yedid. For some reason, the word Yedid is the proper word when describing something connected to the Beis Hamikdash. Or let's say in Tehillim, when we talk about the Binyan Beis Hamikdash, on Pei Dal, number 13, Lam Natzech Al Agitis, L'Neikarch Mizmar, Ma Yedidais Mishkanai Secha. Why is the Beis Hamikdash referred to as Yedid? Well, the Gemara. That's Shabbos. So you could, okay, we could darshan about that. Okay. Now the Gemara says in Ksubis, Darash Bar Kapara. Masei tzadikim, gedoyle masei tzadikim yosim masei shmai. What the tzadikim make, in other words, the Beis Hamikdash is greater than heaven and earth. Te'ilu v'masei shamayim va'aretz ksiv af yadi yasta aretz v'imini tivcha shamayim. When it comes to heaven and earth, God's left hand made the aretz, His right hand made the shamayim. But when it comes to the masei yedayim of tzadikim, it says, Machain l'shivtecha pa'alta Hashem mikdash Hashem kainenu yadecha. Beis Hamikdash was created with how many hands? 2 hands. Beis Hamikdash was created with 2 hands. Shamayim was created with 1 hand. Aretz was created with one hand. So I ask you a question. If the Shamayim needed one hand, and the Aretz only needed one hand, why would the Shamayim need two hands? And the answer is, why would the Beis HaMikdash need two hands? If heaven needs one hand, earth needs one hand, why would Beis HaMikdash need two hands? You know why? Because the Beis HaMikdash is the connection of heaven and earth. It's the fusion of heaven and earth. So if you want to build a Beis HaMikdash, you need to build a Shamayim and you need to build an Aretz. So you need two hands. Heaven only needs one. Earth only needs one. Beis HaMikdash needs two, right? The Goraria, the Maral says about the Sulam, the ladder of Yaakov Avinu, that its feet were in Beersheba, and the top was in Beis Kel, and the middle of the ladder was in the Keneged Beis HaMikdash. So the Maral asks, who cares where the middle of the ladder is? Since when does the middle of a ladder have any importance? The feet of the ladder are important. The head of the ladder are important. But who cares about the middle of the ladder? Says Rashi, says the Gur Aryeh, number 16 on Rashi, that it's very fitting that the middle of the ladder should be slanted. And the middle of it should be opposite the Beis HaMikdash. The top of it is in heaven, the bottom of it is Ba'aretz, and the middle is opposite the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because says the Maral, since the Beis HaMikdash is the resting place of the Shekhinah, and where Adam comes to serve Hashem, that means it has elements of heaven, that's where God is. It has elements of Aretz, that's where people come to connect. Therefore, the Beis HaMikdash, in a sense, is what? The bridge between heaven and earth. And that is why it's the middle of the ladder. And therefore, that's the reason why the Beis HaMikdash needs two hands, Shamayim only needs one hand, Aretz only needs one hand. Why does the Beis HaMikdash is Kanu Yadecha? Because in order to fuse heaven and earth, what? You need two hands. So now I think it comes out very beautiful. Do you know why everything connected to the Beis HaMikdash is called Yedid? Says Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chaver that the word Yedid is Yad Yad. The word Yedid is Yad Yad. Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chaver, who is called the Peshlishi. Peshlishi, he was a Talmud of, I believe, Rabbi Saul Mishkalav. He was the third mouth from the Goin, and he articulated many of the Kabbalistic ideas of the Vilna Gaon. Look at number 17 in his Hagois, Be'er Yitzchak, on the Vilna Gaon's commentary on Chumash, Hadar Selyo. The Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chaver says that why is the Beis HaMikdash in the Chelek of Binyamin Yedid? Because since the Beis HaMikdash is greater than heaven and earth, because it was built with Shtei Yadayim, because the Beis HaMikdash is the connection of heaven and earth, and the Beis HaMikdash is Miskasha Shemayim V'Aretz through Torah V'Avodah. Therefore, it's called what? Lachein Nikra Ben Yamin. Lachein Beis HaMikdash is Yedid. Why is Beis HaMikdash Yedid? Yad, Yad. The two hands. Okay? Yad, Yad. Lachein Nikra Ben Yamin Yedid. V'chel Beis HaMikdash V'Shem Beis Yadayim. Yad, Yad. Yedid is Yad, Yad. Why is Beis HaMikdash? Anyone connected to Beis HaMikdash is called Yedid. Because you need one hand to bring the Shamayim down and one hand to bring the Aretz up. So I'd like to suggest that is why, at this moment in time, when Klal Yisrael saw Pele, what was the Pele? They saw what normally happens in heaven, happening down Ba'aretz. Normally in heaven, the Risham are punished. And now they're seeing the heaven come down to earth. They're Noira Sehilois Oisei Pele, and they see the fusion of heaven and earth. And how do they express it? Beshira, through their Pele. That's why, what do Klal Yisrael commit themselves to do? Aziv Zimras Yav Ayhili Shua. What does it mean, Ze Keli V'Anveyu? Says Targum Onkelos in number 21. Dein Elokai, this is my God. The Evnei Le Makdasha. I'm going to build the Beis HaMikdash. What inspired Klal Yisrael to build the Beis HaMikdash in this time? The answer is, when they saw the fusion of heaven and earth, they saw that you could connect the two. Until then, all they knew was, they're down here Ba'aretz, and hopefully their mitzvos make it up to Shamayim, but never the twain shall meet. There's no way to connect heaven and earth. But when they saw the Din Shamayim come down Ba'aretz, they expressed Pele, Oisei Pele, they said, if you, Ribbon Hashem, could come downstairs, then we're going upstairs. And they committed themselves to build the Beis HaMikdash.
Would that be the Mishkan? The Mishkan would qualify?
Yeah, that would qualify. That would qualify also.
Because the Beis HaMikdash,
right, that's what we said many times why the Beis HaMikdash is called what? The neck, Tzavarech, K'migdal Hashem, K'migdal David, Tzavarech. Why is Beis HaMikdash referring to the neck? The neck connects the Rosh to the Guf. Beis HaMikdash connects Klal Yisrael to our Rosh, right? Kisisa es Rosh Bnei Yisrael. That what? It connects the head to the body. So therefore, at this time, Klal Yisrael commits themselves to build the Beis HaMikdash. And maybe that is why this is the only time in the entire davening Klal Yisrael are referred to as Yedidim. Maybe that is why we refer to Klal Yisrael as Yedidim. Why are they called Yedidim? Because they saw the great Pele of the Din Shamayim coming down Ba'aretz. They saw the possibility to fuse heaven and earth together. And therefore, how do they express it? B'shira, Oisei Pele. They express it B'shira, and therefore they're given the great title, V'Yedidim Hevarta V'Nasnu Yedidim. Why are they called Yedidim? Because of their commitment to build the Beis HaMikdash, which is built B'Chelka Shel Yedid. And Rebbe Sham praises Klal Yisrael V'Nasnu Yedidim. Rabbi say Agun Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.